What is going on, friends? Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to create half underwater photos from scratch here in Photoshop. So let's get into it. What's going on, guys? It's Brendan from Outbound Media here, and you can find me on Instagram at Burnwells. Before I get started, I just wanted to let anyone who's new here know that I make new Photoshop tutorials every single Wednesday, so if that's something you'd be into, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how to do a half underwater image like this. Now, I've been getting a lot of requests to do this, and it's a super cool effect that you can do with your images, and the best part about it is it's super easy and absolutely anybody can learn how to do this. Without further ado, let's get into this tutorial. So I'm going to be using these three images today to create our half underwater photo. So if you're wanting to follow along, I have included a download link down in the description below, so you can download all of these photos and follow along with me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this water photo. Since I want my finished photo to be vertical, I've made a new project, so I'm just going to drag and drop it into that. So here we go. And I'm just going to scale it up so it will fit inside of my new frame or my new project. Awesome. Now, next thing is I'm going to grab my turtle. So obviously this is going to be the underwater bit of our image. And so I'm just going to grab my move tool again, and I'm just going to drag and drop into my new project. So I'm just going to again scale them up a little bit. And now press enter when I'm good to go. So it's really easy to do this. The only thing that we need to do is we pretty much need to make it look that there's just a single line of water between our turtle and the water up top here. So to do that, what we can do, we can just click on our layer 2, which is our turtle, and I'm just going to quickly rename it to turtle, so I know. And now I'm just going to add a layer mask to it. Next, we're going to grab our brush tool. If you haven't already selected it, press B or click the brush tool icon, and we'll go up to our options here. Wherever your hardness is, make sure it's down at about 50%. The size is totally up to you. So with the color black selected, we're just going to mask out the water down to almost near the edge, but not quite. Because what we want is we want to see a little bit of water from underneath left over. So that looks pretty good to me. So the reason that we have a 50% hardness brush is because we don't want it too soft that the feather's insane, but we don't want a really hard edge. We want it to just something sort of in the middle, so 50% does that. Now, as you can see, this already looks pretty good. The thing with these, if you have the point where it goes underwater a little bit too low, it might not make sense because as you see here, there's a lot of water above, so the scales don't really match up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press V for my move tool, and I'm going to drag my turtle up a little bit until I find a spot that works a little bit nicer. I'm going to go right about here. And now, since I see that it kind of goes, I don't really like how it goes up on that side, I'll just click back on my layer mask, grab my brush tool, and I'm just going to mask out that area a little bit. And now, since my project's a little bit too big, I'm just going to press C for my crop tool and bring it in accordingly. Awesome. Next thing that I'll do is I'm just going to press Command-Shift-N to create a new layer. And I'm just going to name it DB for Dodge and Burn. And I'm going to change my mode to overlay and check this little box, fill with overlay neutral color. And I'll click OK. Now I'll press O, make sure midtones are selected, and I'm going to have mine at about 12% here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it to my turtle layer. So I'm just going to hold Alt and I'm going to click right between the two layers, and now I'll get this little icon here saying it's clipped, so now it only affects my turtle layer. And now I'm just going to darken the edge of the water, just like this. Now I don't want to darken it evenly across the whole thing because there is bits of light and things like that, so I'm just mostly doing it in the darker areas of the water. So now I notice that there's a little bit that I need to clean up here, so I'm just going to go back in with my brush tool and I'm just going to erase out a little bit of that reflection so it makes more sense. So if this is all you wanted to get out of this tutorial, then that is awesome. You can stop here, but I'm not quite done yet. I'm going to add in some clouds, and then I'm going to do a little bit of color adjustment. So if you want to stick around for that, then you are more than welcome to. So to add the clouds is what we're going to do is it's really easy. Since we have a nice clear edge here, we don't really have to do much work. We can just grab our quick selection tool, select my layer 1, which is my water, and I'm just going to select the sky. So it's not, to me, it's not a super big deal if it's not getting all the water and that splash and things like that. That being said, if you want to make any adjustments, what you can do is you can hold Alt, and you see how it changes from a plus to a minus. So that's normal, and then I press Alt, and now it becomes a minus. So now I can remove anything that is selected. So I'm just going to go and add back in some of the selection. So that looks good to me. Now anything that is selected will be added to our layer mask. So now with our selection selected, we'll just press our layer mask icon. Now we'll press Command I to invert it, and now we have a completely invisible background. And you can't tell because our background is already white, but if I turn it off, now you can see. What I'm going to do is going to go back to my storm clouds, grab my move tool, so press V, then drag and drop into my new project, and then zoom out a little, and I'm just going to scale these up, press the check mark, and then I'm going to drag them behind everything. So now they're sitting behind all my other layers. So what I like to do is, I don't really like how there's just a harsh sort of water and then sky. So what I'll often do to sort of make the transition a little easier is I'll create a new layer above my clouds, grab my gradient tool, make sure I have a white gradient, and I'm just going to drag up. And now I have a little bit of a gradient. Maybe I'll favor one side a little bit more, just like that. And then if it's a little too much, I might change it to soft light. And now that is looking pretty great. So I can turn it on and off. You can see the difference. It's quite subtle. From here, you have kind of two options. You can say, you know what, I'm happy with how this looks, and just be done with it, or you can go ahead and do some color adjustments. I'm going to leave the tutorial here. The rest of the color adjustments and things like that, you guys can do yourself. So if you did follow along with this tutorial, I would love to see the images that you guys came up with, how you positioned your turtle, the different color adjustments you did in the end. I would love to see how your images turned out. So that being said, if you upload them anywhere, make sure to tag me at Burnwills. This was how to create half underwater photos from scratch here in Photoshop. Again, my name's Brendan from Outbound Media, and I hope to see you back here next Wednesday for another new Photoshop tutorial. See you then.